This House will recall that in 2022, when I made my sectoral presentation, the government had made a commitment to present the regulations under the National Identification and Registration Act 2021 to this House and to the general public for comments. Madam Speaker, I want to start this short statement by really thanking the persons who we often don't see, but the technical teams that work tremendously hard behind the scenes to bring these documents to fruition. Yes, I think we should really. So Madam Speaker, I want to thank the NIDS project executing team, our permanent secretary at the Office of the Prime Minister, our senior legal officer, the Chief Technical Director, Ms. Judith Grant, our Chief Parliamentary Counsel, and the Attorney General Chambers. You know, Madam Speaker, when I came into this role and we sat down, the team really worked hard and they had a draft prepared by August. And I can tell you, between the Chief Parliamentary Counsel and the AG Chambers, they really put it through intense scrutiny. And there were a number of times that they sent their comments and the team had to work straight through the night to get it back to the AG's chambers to get us to reach to this stage. Madam Speaker, it is intended that the National Identification System will make the lives of our citizens easier. And it will make it easier for people to do business in Jamaica. You know, the approach that we've taken, Madam Speaker, is to ensure that we are participatory and inclusive in rolling out our national identification system. We would have benefited from a joint select committee where the primary legislation was able to take a number of inputs, including inputs from the opposition, from members of the legal fraternity, ICT practitioners, private sector stakeholders. And I think that gave a number of our citizens a better opportunity to understand that NIDS is really here to help us as a society. What we plan to do now, Madam Speaker, is to lay these regulations on the House in this draft form so that they can be taken, considered, reviewed, and feedback can be given to us before we take the debate of the regulations. So today, Madam Speaker, we have laid 4 draft regulations. The National Identification and Registration Regulations 2023, and these regulations seek to outline the practicalities from the application, enrollment, cancellation, renewal. The forms that are going to be used for people to apply will be there, so the forms are attached and people will see what the application form looks like. People will see the process that they would go by if they're seeking to cancel. People will be able to see how persons with disabilities and others requiring assistance, such as the elderly, will be able to access NIDS. The regulations also outline the type of documents that may be accepted, the form of the national identification card, and also what fees, the national identification card will be free. But if you were to lose the card, if you were to mutilate the card, that is also outlined in terms of whether there are fees so attached. The other draft regulation that is tabled is the National Identification and Registration Information Security Regulations. These are perhaps, Madam Speaker, the most important regulations to many persons because people are genuinely concerned about the steps that will be taken to ensure that their information is secure. So the regulations does go into great detail to treat with issues such as security standards, processes, practices that the National Identification and Registration Authority will be expected to abide by. If the authority fails to do so, the National Identification and Registration Inspectorate and indeed the Parliament is empowered to bring the authority back into line. We have also laid the National Identification and Registration Assignment of National Identification Numbers Regulations. Madam Speaker, hopefully it has not missed us that how we have now arranged the scheme for the National Identification System is that your National Identification number will be identical to your tax administration number. So if you already have a TRN number, when you go to sign up for the national identification system, that will become your national identification number. And those who are not yet taxpayers, when they get their national identification number, they will not need a separate number to be their TRN when they so elect to get a TRN number. So we have a draft regulations that is going into detail in that regard. The final regulations has been tabled is the National Identification Registration Appeals Tribunal regulations. Madam Speaker, by law, it is critical that the public authority which will be established, the National Identification Registration Authority, has an appeal process that is built into our national identification system, and this regulation outlines how an appeal may be made, including the necessary forms. We are sharing the regulations here in hard copy. We are also putting the soft copies up on the National Identification website. That is www.nidsfacts.gov.jm, so people can access the regulations via that website. And I'm very sure that the House of Parliament will also place the regulations on their website. What we're asking people to now do, Madam Speaker, we're encouraging the members of this House to take the regulations, to speak to their various constituencies, to inform their constituents, and to get feedback, and to pass that feedback to the Office of the Prime Minister. I also urge all Jamaicans, eligible residents, to read the regulations. Feedback should be provided to the Office of the Prime Minister, the NIDS project executing team, and we have established an email address, customercare@nids.gov.jm. Also, Madam Speaker, we have designed a form on the NIDS Facts website, so people can literally go to the website, read the regulations, and provide real-time feedback using that portal. It is intended that the regulations will be in place by the first quarter of the new financial year. So, Madam Speaker, we're urging persons so interested to provide their feedback by the 21st of February 2023 so that we can review, bring any changes necessary, and then we can have a debate in the House. Again, Madam Speaker, we are determined to make the life of our citizens easier, but we're also determined to ensure that they participate in this process. Thank you so much.
Well done. Thank you, Minister.